From my view, Project X is the symbol of the resistance and survival in this game. They have fought against the Targaryens since the birth of the house. It's like watching the rebellions of Star Wars resist and survive against the Empire, waiting for the day of the Jedi's return. Here's Hayvan DawX, the Liege of Project X, or Project Tully in my series, the House of the Resistance. Hello, DawX.
Hello.
Hi. So I've only talked to you in text, and I did this intentionally, to hear, people's voice for the first time through the interview.
I hope we didn't disappoint you. I mean, I hope we are like you expected us.
A bit, but still, I didn't expect your voice to be this deep.
I mean, let's continue, bro. No, that's
Okay.
What should I say, bro? Honestly.
Okay. Let's start with the background. We are currently in Season 21, but this story takes place in Season 12. What was it like in Season 12? What was it like for you and your house, Project X? Because I've heard that Targaryens attacked you guys first.
I mean, yes, for Project Tully, we created our project exactly in Season 12. And in Season 12, the Targaryens was not just a powerful alliance, they were the biggest threat, to be honest, the entire ever has faced. They were by far the most dominant force we have seen, and their strength was unparalleled, and they had the influence to reshape the entire server at their will. So Targaryen's dominance was not just a challenge, it was the looming shadow over every alliance and every house and every player. So it wasn't just a fight for the survival, it was a fight to prevent the total domination.
I know what you mean. I've had similar experience for myself. For us, it wasn't the Targaryens, it was the Dragon Empire in the North American server. And most people don't understand the gravity of this. So I'll explain, and you tell me if it's similar for the European server. A sense of all communities are the members. And what the mega empires like Targaryens does is they destroy the smaller houses for easy wins and poach the veteran members who are good enough to join them. And as this continues, the game dies slowly, because no one wants to lose constantly and feed their community members to the Empire. This eventually kills the game, because once the Empire runs out of people to stomp on, they just quit too. And most empires don't play fair, they just want easy wins for their fragile egos.
Exactly, that was that made everything even harder for us. When we created Project X, Project Tully, it was in its infancy, to be honest. A rising faction with potential, but still vulnerable. Targaryens saw this potential and wasted no time. They sent their best army, their best trade, to crush us before we could become a legitimate threat. They some sort knew that if they didn't strike early, we might eventually grow into a force that could challenge them in their supremacy, in their might. It was, to be honest, a brutal move, but strategically the right thing in their perspective. Strategically, but still ruthless.
I agree. So they wanted to secure their easy wins so much that they didn't even want to give you the chance to grow. No wonder you had to resort to the coalition.
I mean, at first we didn't really have much of a choice. The coalition against Targaryens was an act of survival and resistance for us. We knew that no single alliance could stand alone against the power of the Targaryens. They were too powerful, too coordinated, too crowded, too big. Our coalition wasn't formed out of just our ambition or a desire to conquer as much as we can. It was formed to resist the tyranny. Targaryen's grip on the serve was suffocating, and we had to unite to fight back.
I swear, this does fit the rebellion against the Empire so well. just like the Star Wars. The survival of the rebellion, the undying resistance against the Empire, like, it fits so perfectly in my opinion.
I mean, the rebellions and Star Wars shared a lot with our coalition. We represented the united resistance against the so powerful empire and the civil of resistance itself, formed by mostly smaller faction underdogs coming all together for a common cause. It wasn't just a tactical alliance, it was against being steamrolled by a massive force that had no interest in fair play. The Targaryens ruled with overwhelming force, and but our coalition was the resistance to their overwhelming force. So we fought not just to survive, but to make sure that one faction didn't control the fate for everyone, especially here on our EU server.
That's very good. I guess when tyranny pushes too hard, the world pushes back hard too. I love watching smaller houses gather to resist against a few powerful ones.
Yes, especially and our pushback was the turning point, because we had to make a choice: fighting together or being crushed one by one. The odds were stacked against us, but we prepared to fight back with everything we had to protect not only ourselves but the entire server from Targaryen's domination.
So, was the coalition stronger than the Targaryens? Was the coalition able to fight the Targaryens fairly?
A quick answer is, to be honest, no for both, sadly. House Project X had the vision. We had a vision for clean and honorable play and belief that fairness would lead to some sort of harmonious experience for all. But then came the onslaught of the Targaryens and I mean, the Targaryens, a powerful, ruthless force that shattered their path. They was not taking any hostages.
Yep. Does look like a peaceful planet that was on a harmonious path, and it gets attacked by the Empire and everything changes forever.
I mean, it really was like that. Targaryen's invasion did change the game totally for us. The game became less about honor and more about endurance, especially for Project X. We went into survival mode. This shift forced us to make hard choices, to ally or create coalitions, to match basically the numbers. And when we started to manipulate the game like they did, I mean, for them, they did it to win, we did it to survive. Especially in a world where the Targaryens doesn't play fair, playing clean became a luxury that I would say nobody of us could afford anymore.
Less about honor and more about endurance. Sounds like a path of rebellion, but more realistic. Because in reality, there is a lot of painful decisions to make. Some against your code, because you can't fight clean when the Empire fights dirty. And you never come out the same. You change forever after this rebellion fight.
I mean, I agree. This is an ongoing struggle for me and for my house. How much of our honor should we pay for resistance and survival? That's always the question. We wanted always to play fair and clean, really. I'm not going to lie. But what can we do when the enemy plays dirty and, for example, bans a whole raid of us falsely? We were down to our last city in this particular moment when we got banned, and losing that might demoralize our house to a point to breaking. Our fate in this game was resistance and just survival.
Just always on that survival mode. They even falsely accused and banned some of your members, like entire raid. I've heard people report players to sabotage the enemies. Is it something like that?
I mean, for us, it was not just banning or falsely accusing players, it was falsely accusing the whole house and the whole alliance back then. Basically, they was not just only accusing a couple of players, they was accusing the whole house, the whole project, and which led basically to a whole ban of a whole army. So we couldn't, or we could only do much less or less than before.
In Star Wars, the rebellion doesn't have a lot of, moral dilemmas. If Star Wars was more like Game of Thrones, I believe they would end up fighting dirty and see a bit of empire in them. since the path of resistance and survival always requires you to sacrifice something, just like honor. And I'm seeing that here. And I can see your struggle.
Yes, and this is haunting us still today. I mean, there's also the saying, if you look into the void's looking into you. There was a time when I believed that winning through fair play, even it meant losing, that was the true victory. But when your enemy is out to destroy you before you can even grow, or you're in a growing phase, with constant battles and defeats to wear us down, you become some sort of desperate.
Yeah, and desperate times, calls for desperate measures.
That was basically where the coalition came into play. This coalition did not seek for some sort of power. It was all the houses who were tired of Targaryen's abuse that rose up to stop the tyranny before it destroys our game and our beloved server. At the end of season 12, it nearly did, to be honest.
I know that it nearly did. Save that detail for next interview. For today, how do you feel about the path you had to take to survive?
I mean, my core values haven't changed. I still believe in fair play. Game manipulation and dirty tactics are not something I will engage it unless I'm really forced into it. But it takes much until I get to this point. In fact, I would still rather lose a fair and square fight than win in a completely dishonorable way. But when your opponent doesn't respect these rules and you're fighting someone much stronger and much dangerous with dirty tricks and dirty mechanics, as my house is Project X back in the days, we are the masters to resisting and surviving against all odds. I mean, against all odds, that's basically our to so-called logo or what's called
It's like the motto of your house.
It's exactly the motto, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think Project X is the symbol of resistance, more than the coalition itself. Personally, I think Project X fits the rebellions of the Star Wars, but much grimmer and more realistic. To make it more interesting, I know Project X has two main sub-houses, Hayvan and Nasu, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
And am I pronouncing them correctly? Hayvan and Nasu.
I mean, it's Hayvan, but Hayvan is completely fine. I mean, it's just pronunciation. It doesn't matter that much.
Okay, Hayvan.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you are, Daw from Hayvan, and Wary is also from Hayvan, and Lexa is from Nasu, and how about we add another house, sub house called the Skywalkers? Okay, and we build. I'm gonna help you build this recruitment campaign to gather new players who wish to be part of the resistance, and they can be part of this new house like Hayvan, and Nasu, and now Skywalkers. If Asadal is going to be part of this, it's going to be Skywalker Asadal, just like how you have Hayvan Daw and Hayvan Wary. And the one who shows leadership, okay, in the House of Skywalker will be the chosen and will earn the title of Luke. And anyone who betrays the house or leaves the Skywalker house is going to be Anakin, the Vader. And they'll be part of this series, okay, part of Project Tully as Skywalkers. What do you think about that?
I mean, it sounds like a great idea. Finding somebody who brings peace and balance to the Force.
Yeah, I know. And right now, if I'm correct, you guys are battling the toxic walkers. If I'm correct. Yeah, so I'm sure you could use some hope. and the return of the Jedi. Well, then I'm gonna prepare a small recruitment campaign, and maybe we'll have to make a separate house, and maybe I can help you train the new recruits. Like they'll need to pass some prerequisite, like maybe hitting level 100, something like that. And if any of the audiences are interested, stay tuned to the channel, and I will post all the details and work with House Project X to build the Skywalkers. Once again, thank you for this interview. I will call you for more interviews as the series go on, especially for the season finale, the slaughter at Trollvaros, the wedding of season 12.
Thank you too. Thanks for having me here. And the only thing I can say is long live the resistance.